Does the world need another tutorial on how to paint chainmail? I'll leave you to ponder that. Here we go. Jumping in with broadsword silver. You can see I've already I'm doing this on the weapons and the helmets too. It's not just the chainmail. I really like broadsword silver. Uh, Painting this was actually really nostalgic. I realized it's been a while since I've painted flat out, just regular run of the mill chainmail. And it seems like back in the day, back in my time, everything had chainmail on it. And I think it was the Reaper Mini How to Paint set that came with a giant, nasty looking rat and a knight. And they told you that you should prime the model black, which back then was also a huge challenge because one didn't know how rattle cans worked, didn't know that living in Virginia, the humidity was going to destroy any attempt I did at rattle can priming outside, and the fact that I had to leave it outside till it didn't smell anymore. I was lucky if I didn't have bugs or sticks in my primer coat. So even back then, I still remember the day where I could consistently get even coats of primer on a model, and that felt like a massive win. So the recommendation for chainmail was to paint the model black, and then overbrush is the word they used. Not even just dry brush, but overbrush the silver, and then call it a day. you know, and back then that was hard because I didn't have the brush control to dry brush silver and not get black in the holes. That made it seem so much easier in the instructions. And they never told you about a wash. They didn't tell you could just make a black wash and go over top of your silver and be fine. So chainmail was quite a challenge. That was one of like the first big victories of me as a painter, being able to paint chainmail. And then I think I went through the stage where like I had to go in and paint every single individual chain link to prove to myself that I could. And then realizing like, hey, just painting it silver and washing it looks almost as good. Like it's unnoticeable for most people. And now we have speed paints, which changes the game again. But again, that's why I'm not really talking the technique. I'm just taking you on a trip down nostalgia lane. And speaking of that, this was just super nostalgic for me painting chainmail, and I remembered something that I haven't thought about in a very long time, and that's Dr. Faust Painting Clinic. Used to be a website. I remember the website went down, and then it came back up, hosted on another site, and then it kind of faded from my memory. And I'm gonna have to look him up and see if he's still making content. But on a quick glance, he has a Facebook page and he is still making content. But his site was like the first painting website that I ever kind of like stumbled upon and learned so much more. And really without that site, I wouldn't have really ever learned how to paint. So it's crazy how foundational that site was as my journey as a very young boy, young painter, early in the internet days, kind of finding all the blogs back then and not even really knowing they were called blogs. That's just what the internet was. But I hadn't thought about that in a very long time. So it was very cool to see. So here I'm on I'm on some actual chainmail. And the thing about this broadsword silver from Army Painter is while it's sitting on the palette, you have to continuously stir it and mix it up, or you'll lose the metal flake pigment and you get kind of this, I don't know, almost like this purplish blue color and not a lot of silver pigment. So you can see that in some places. So that's why I'm coming back in and doing a second coat on some of these guys. And also the outcome is pretty dark. So I think it's great for a first coat if you want bright chainmail. And I'll probably still go back and wash these. I don't know. I don't know. I want to sleep on it again. That's kind of the benefit of I know I'm painting every day, so I don't have to rush the wash tonight because I want them bright, and I think the horses are pretty bright. The horses actually look great. I'm not gonna do anything to them now that I see them in like real life, and they're all drying on the table. But they definitely need like something on top of them. I think if you were in a hurry and you just had to have a bunch of dudes, like you could definitely get away with slamming some broadsword silver on it and being good with it that way. But they definitely need to be brightened up. So that's what we're gonna do in the next step. And here's where we're at before the next step. I just wanted you to kind of get up close. This is my chieftain, so I spent just a little bit more time. I did 2 coats of the broadsword silver, and now we're going to come in with Leho Air silver. It's a very bright silver. It's not steel. It's not like even regular silver. It's a very bright silver with the airbrush silver. And there's actually, they have a level brighter than this, but I didn't want to go that crazy. And now it's just tried and true dry brushing. And the important thing to think about with dry brushing isn't that you're taking paint off the brush. Oh, and of course you have to drop your model. If you're not dropping your model, you're definitely not painting. Uh, you're working the paint into the bristles. So yes, you got to get the pigment off the brush so you don't have a big glob of it, but you really want the paint worked into all the bristles so that you can work the brush in a bunch of different angles and still get pigment off of it. And that's what's going to like really speed up the time. So you can see I can go back and forth on that on the totally forgot the name of it was on that shield slate on the nub on the shield and still deposit paint on it. And now I'm really just kind of highlighting the chainmail. I'm not hitting every single part of the chainmail as hard. I'm still thinking about where the light's going to hit. I'm still kind of following the zenithal highlight, and the parts that would be brighter, I'm hitting multiple times, multiple passes. And then maybe the parts that are darker, just only once. And this also kind of takes like that purplish color out of the speed paint that I guess the non-metallic part of that paint has. And again, it's not a critique of the paint. Like I love the paint. I just didn't really want these guys that dark. And this also just takes that purple hint out of it. So here you go. Here is a view of a dry brushed one on the left, and then a non-dry brush guy on the right. And you can really kind of see just how purple and blue that broadsword silver is. And now we're going to finish this up for now. Molotow Liquid Chrome. This is magic in a bottle. It comes out and it truly just looks like molten chrome. I'm going to be very careful with this stuff because I think every time I've used it, I've said this, you can very easily overdo it and make the model look ridiculous. I'm going to hit the buckler part of the shield. I know it's not actually called a buckler. Hit that, add some scratches. Going to, again, it's like mostly a stippling, and I'm actually making sure I got a lot of this paint off, either on that paper towel or on my thumb a little bit later. And very little pigment, just painting in some scratches on it. I want to hit the top half only, and that really adds that shine to it, really reinforces. I think it's going to look good because we're going to decal these shields too, which will be another video. And now I'm going to come in, I'm going to hit the sharp edge of this axe with a thick edge highlight, and that will really make the axe like truly glint on the tabletop. Like it's going to catch people's eyes. It's going to look like it's shining in the sun. And then I'll do a normal edge highlight on the other like top half of this axe. And we're going to do more to this axe later. I'm not sure how crazy I want to get with it because I do want to try to keep them realistic and toned down. But I'll probably do some crazy stuff on the axe eventually. I'm not sure when. And now what I'm going to do is, again, edge highlight this helmet kind of. And it's a very sloppy edge highlight because I'm just painting very scratchy style. Making sure I'm hitting all the rivets. Making sure I'm hitting the hard edges. And then I am going to almost not quite a dry brush. This brush is really small, but I'm going to go in and start stippling the actual chainmail itself. And I'll switch it over. So just finishing up those hard edges on the helmet. And now hopefully I recorded it. I'm doing this voiceover and post editing, and I'm realizing maybe I did not record. Okay, sorry, false alarm. Here we go. So you can see I'm stippling and I'm following there's a ridge in the chainmail. It's not really coming through on this part, but there's a very easily defined ridge and just in the sculpt. So I'm coming through the arm and the raised parts of the chainmail that would also catch the light, and then following the ridges of the body and the actual mold itself, of the parts that would catch the light, and stippling this in. Not really a dry brush, just being very careful, very controlled. And I'm actually doing my best to make sure I don't put this in any of the holes in between the links because that would look silly. And here we go. This is how we're looking. Pretty quick. I think maybe it took me an hour to do all the metal for all these guys. Very happy with it. See you tomorrow where we're going to continue on with this.